Howdy everybody, Mr. Bob from the North Carolina Zoo, your neighborhood naturalist. Thank you once again for letting me spend a little time with you today. Actually today, I am at the North Carolina Zoo. Behind me you see the 2-acre wetland pond that's right adjacent to the North America parking area. You may hear some equipment going on because we're getting ready for what we hope will be an opening before too much terribly longer. About 2 weeks ago, we were in my barn and during a rainy day and we were making some minnow traps. So I'm going to show you how we set those minnow traps on the edge of the pond behind me, and then we're going to go back and pull them out of the water and see what we've caught in those minnow traps. Now I'll say this again and again. This is just a tool that I use to be able to see what lives in this pond. As you can see behind us, we can see only the top of the water. I think there's an old joke that goes, these two guys are walking up the beach, and one of them goes, "Man, look at all that water out there." And the other one looks back and says, "Yeah, and that's only the top." So we don't have the opportunity a lot of times to see what's in the water, especially in the southeast. By the end of the summer, the water's warmed up, there's a lot of algae, and there's some dirt that's hung up in the water and everything, so it's much more difficult to see what's in the water. What we hope is that after we set our traps, we'll get a chance to catch maybe one or two of the critters that are living in the pond behind us, so we'll get a chance to see them up close. So this is what we call kind of a pond study. I would do this in a creek closer to my house, but with all of the rain that's been falling lately, we had some flash floods last week and it kind of cleared everything out. So before we go too much further, I'm going to go back and talk a little bit once again about our personal protective equipment. And this is not just to protect us, me. This is actually to help protect the animals. So if I happen to get anything in our little pond study here, in any of the minnow traps, we'll take everything out of the minnow traps. I have a tub with some water in it so that we can keep everybody healthy and safe, and that we'll get a chance to see what's going on. But this way, anything that's on my hands won't necessarily cause any problems for those guys. All right, so let's go see how we set a trap, and then maybe we can find out if we caught anything. What do you think? All right, so I have borrowed a little piece of this pond. This is actually the wetland pond that's down at the North Carolina Zoo. Borrowed this one today because there's no current running through it and it won't drag our minnow traps all over the place. I do have three. One, this is the one we made 2 weeks ago, and you can see I have some stuff inside it here. There are some rocks that are in there. I have some long skinny pieces of gravel that are in here. This will weight it down a little bit. These don't need to be in deep water. A lot of the animals we're looking for are going to be close to the surface, so that's going to be kind of a plus. Just want it to stay put, and it's got a little tether on here that I put. There's also in here is some bait. I had to get something that could be a little stinky, that might attract some of the critters. I'm thinking crayfish right now. So among other things, these are some doggy treats, some little fake chewy butchery things, and sort of sausage looking things like that. So we have those in here. I'm going to take all three of these little minnow traps, and I say minnow traps, they can also catch other things as well. I'm going to take them down and set them in the grass right on the edge of the pond behind me. When we do this, you don't want to leave them out for too terribly long. If they're clear, the sun's going to come up and the water inside will get hot. So you don't want to leave them out too terribly long. You want to try not to get them too much in the sun. I'm going to set these, we'll leave them out for an hour or two and come back and see who comes in and finds them. Again, what will happen, with the holes on the outside, they'll fill up with water. That's what you want. And with the bait on the inside, there'll be some scent in the water so that some of the critters and fish can want to come find it. They'll try to get to it until they get around to the open end, go through the funnel, and then they'll swim around trying to get out and won't be able to necessarily find the exit hole. That's why we'll undo this end and let them out. And we'll take a look to see who we find. So come on down to the edge of the pond, we'll set these things out, and then we'll come back in about an hour and see how they're doing, okay? Cool, hold on. Alright, so we set 3 minnow traps a little while ago. I'm going to take them out of the water one at a time. see what we can find. This one is the smallest one. I'm going to just empty everything out. Oh, we got a couple of things in there. Check and make sure there's nobody left behind. All right, so there's at least something we can check. Let me go get the others. All right, got a few things in that one. I'm going to take this rock out of here, put it back in the Minnow Trap. And I'm going to go get the largest one, and we'll see what's in here. Nope, not a lot in that one. Okay, so just to sort of show you a little bit, these are some old peanut butter jars. Again, giving these single-use plastics a second lease on life. So I'm going to use these to show you what's in here. Scoop up a little water and set this one right here. And I have this handy little dip net from an old aquarium. And okay, now these are some things that you guys may have seen before, and I'll see if I can hold this up. I'll get one in my hand in a minute. You see this little fish that's floating around in here? This is what's called a mosquito fish, and they are basically, let's see if I can get one. These look mostly female. See if you can see that in my hand. These are basically wild guppies, and they're very close cousins, same genus as the guppies you would get for your aquarium. They live on the top of the water, or close to the top, and one of their great values, and the reason that these guys were introduced all pretty much throughout the southeast, is simply because they feed on things that are on the surface of the water, and a lot of times those are baby mosquitoes. So that's why they get their name mosquito fish. So here we have, you can see that these minnow traps do work. They do catch some small fish and some various other things. If we'd left them out longer overnight, we might have got a crayfish or a crawdad. We might have got some other things as well. But this is basically how they work. Again, I just keep these guys in here in the peanut butter jars just for a few minutes, and then we're going to return them back into the tub, let them swim around until I can go back and put them back in the lake. So what do you guys think? Minnow traps, interesting tool to see what's in the water. You can make them, they're relatively easy to make. It's a great way to upcycle some plastic. If you need to, we can go back and I can put a link for some of the other, the way when we made the minnow traps. I can put that link down below, and maybe you guys can get a chance to try this on your own. Again, as I mentioned, please do not leave these in the water too terribly long, especially if it's a sunny day, because the sun will warm up the water, all the oxygen will cook out of the water, and the animals that are trapped in your minnow trap won't survive. And we don't want to hurt them. We just want to study them a little bit to see who they are and what they look like. So before we go, I'm actually going to remove my PPE here, taking off my gloves in the appropriate fashion. Once again, for the Neighborhood Naturalist, I'm Mr. Bob Langston with the North Carolina Zoo. You guys, thanks for joining me, and stay safe, okay? Take care. Bye now.